Welcome to the Parenting with Grace and Grit podcast, where every week we discuss behavior and the top 3 strategies we, as behavior analysts, suggest to work on it.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to talk about this week's topic because this is actually an episode based on a question from a parent regarding their child's behavior in class. So we have some suggestions on how to work on increasing attending skills in the classroom. And side note, that is why we love you guys sending in stuff for us to talk about or questions for us to answer to our email, graceandgritbcs@gmail.com, so that we can do things like this and help you guys out.
Yeah, we love it. As specific or vague as you want, we will be happy to help. So getting into it, basically, our first strategy is we basically need to figure out how long can your child sit for. So the question specifically was, my child's not sitting and attending in class, and I don't really know how to help them because I'm at home, and it's really difficult to manage a behavior you're seeing at school at home. So what we would suggest is at least having the teacher decide how long can the child actually sit for. So maybe they sit for 30 seconds, maybe they can sit for 5 minutes. But that's going to be our baseline of where we start, and then we can slowly start to increase it. So let's say the student can sit there for 1 minute before getting distracted. We are going to set that timer for maybe 50 seconds and then have them work for 50 seconds, give them a break, and then bring them back to work some more. And the reason we start with less time is because we want to make sure we're setting them up for success so that they can meet that reward of a break or whatever it is. If they're never meeting it, that behavior is never going to change because they're not seeing what great things come after they are doing their work. Something to keep in mind, though, not every child can sit for that long. I think we just have to be really realistic because, maybe half the class can sit for 10 minutes, but not every student's going to be able to do that. So while we can certainly increase little by little, we just have to make sure we're not pushing it too far. There's going to be a limit. So start with 50 seconds. Give them a break. Once they're doing that successfully, bump it up to a minute, bump it up to a minute 15, bump it up to a minute 30. We're going to take those little tiny baby steps, and eventually you'll be able to increase that time more quickly by a bigger chunk, but we want to start really small at first so that we're just increasing little by little, and they're seeing what that success is going to get them, whether it's a break or a special activity or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think, too, it can be so difficult for teachers to either, notice when the child has stopped working, or maybe they've noticed we don't know exactly how long the child has not been paying attention or that kind of thing. And basically, it's really hard for the teachers to monitor or to go over there and say okay, it's been, 50 seconds. Now you can have a break, that kind of thing. It's just really difficult during the school day for the teacher to manage all of that, especially when there's other kids in the classroom and so many other factors. And so I will say that one of the best things you could do is to work on it at home is, you could see how long they can work for at home. That might be different. And then you can start having them practice kind of self-monitoring themselves. So using a timer or something at home, putting it there for their homework. And that way you've practiced that skill at home. When you bring it up to the teacher, you can say, hey, I know this has been an issue for you. This is what I've been practicing with him or her at home. And that way maybe you can use this, and that way you're not having to stay on top of them all day, but it can help with increasing how long that they can pay attention in class. So
Yeah, self-monitoring is great.
Yeah. And so strategy 2 is visuals, another one of Lauren and I's favorite things to talk about. But there's all kinds of visuals that you can use in the classroom that can be really beneficial for kids. One would be a first then board, which is literally just a picture of what they have to do first, which in this case would be their work, and then what they get to do after, or something that they can earn or look forward to. Some teachers may say that it can't be immediate. So what's the next thing that he's looking forward to what kind of break he can earn, that kind of thing. And that's how you can use a First Then board. We have free ones on our website, so those can be downloaded and used. Another thing you can do is just highlight the work, especially if they're just now learning how to read. You can highlight exactly those parts maybe they're getting stuck on or just not finishing. You can walk over and just highlight what exactly they need to do. Another tip is to cut the worksheet up so it's smaller. So, they finish that one portion. That's a reward basically because they finished it. That part's out of their sight. And then now they just have to finish that next part that's been cut up for them. It can make it a lot more manageable for someone that's kind of overwhelmed by all the work that they have to do or just not wanting to do all of it. Especially for people who might have like ADD or ADHD. That's like a great way to break something up for them. And then if a student has a more difficult time after you address the class, then go over and specifically show the student what to do. So kind of repeating those directions for them individually. And I think that goes across like a lot of different things where that's like attention, ADD again, like attention deficit, just being distracted in class when the teacher is telling you what to do. Other just it's helpful if they can come over and repeat those directions. So that's the strategy that we would suggest to do that can help.
Perfect. And then 3, let me preface this by saying the way we change behavior is, a lot of individual attention and work at the beginning, but it's not meant to be like that forever. So the reason we suggest this individual time going up to the student and telling them exactly what to do, there's a lot of distractions in the classroom. It just might be too hard for them to like focus in. So, but that is extra work for the teacher. And then having to time how long they're working and slowly increase it, that's a lot of work. But it's only a lot of work on the front end. And then, gradually we want to fade that out so that they are able to just kind of go with the rest of the class. So that kind of also goes with our strategy 3, which is rewards. So rewarding the behavior is what is going to change the behavior. That's just the science, the basic science of it. So we're obviously going to suggest token systems or short breaks or whatever the child likes to earn after their work time is up. But again, this is a little bit more heavy work for the teacher. And so eventually we want to fade that out. The other option is rewarding the child at home for their good behavior attending at school, which can possibly work in the short term, but it doesn't necessarily work out for every student, and it doesn't work long term most of the time because that reward is so delayed after the actual work, especially for our younger kids. If you would do all this work and then when you go home later that night, you get to watch your favorite show, that might have a zero bearing on what they do during the day. And maybe they'll get excited and they can keep it together like 1 or 2 days or maybe even weeks, but it doesn't often work as a permanent solution. So that's why we're really suggesting if you want to see the behavior change at the school, the interventions have to happen at the school. But on the other side of that, whether that's something you want to try or not and see if it works, that's obviously up to you. You're the parent, you know what's best. But we really, really very strongly feel that we do not bring punishment home. So if the student had a bad day, maybe they're earning, or if they had a good day, they're earning something. But if they had a bad day, we don't recommend taking something away. We have had teachers and parents come to us for like consultation together, and the teacher's like, well, they can't go to the zoo this weekend. Therefore, their behavior at school should not impact their fun family outing at the zoo that weekend. So feel very strongly about that. That might work better for older children, but our little ones, just let home be the safe, fun, relaxed place that it is. And that's that.
Yes. I think another reason why a token economy might work at home at first is because it's novel, it's new, it's something excited that usually your parents are showing interest in and saying like, oh my gosh, you can earn this if you act like this at school. And so that's exciting for them. That's, you're excited for them. You're telling them what they can earn. So, like every person, we want to please our parents or please those that are authoritative to us. And so I think that's why it initially works so well. But then, as Lauren says, and as the science shows us, after a certain amount of time, that novelty wears off, and it's so hard for that to continue to work because the reinforcement or the reward is just so delayed from when you actually did the right behavior. And so that's why you might not see it work long term, which is unfortunate because I do feel like a lot of times that's is what recommended is for, let's work on this at home because parents have the most influence on their children. But the best solution we have is to try to figure out with your teacher what they can earn at school, whatever that might look like.
It's probably going to be tricky and to find, that balance of what the teacher can do and what can work and whatever. But I think it's really important to remember that you and the teacher have the same goal in mind. You both want your child and the rest of the class to succeed. So really, you just kind of have to find a way. And if it works for your kid to do that, that's fantastic. That's great. But if it doesn't, don't think that there's something wrong or like, why can't my kid just like get the reinforcement at home and it's not working? Don't stress out about it. It's perfectly normal for that not to work. So we just have to find a way around it. And of course, if you need more help, let us know. Mm-hmm. Also, another side note, if your teacher comes and says, hey, they're doing blah, blah, blah at school, or they're not paying attention or whatever, and you don't see that at home, kids are very good at differentiating between environments. So it might not be a behavior you've seen at home. That doesn't mean it's not happening at school. There's different factors playing into both things. Maybe the student is struggling to follow directions at school, but they don't have that problem at home. But how many demands do we really need to place at home in any given day? Not that many most of the time, not like a structured school environment. So just keep in mind that you guys may see completely different things going on, and that's normal too.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay. So we are not going to be having a Grace and Grit guidance segment in this episode since this whole episode was a Grace and Grit guidance. So we hope this was super helpful for you guys. Again, we love answering these types of questions. It's like our favorite thing to do. So if you ever have help or ever need help with any kind of thing, please email us and we'd be happy to answer you in an email, help you privately, do an episode on it, all the above. So if you need help or have additional questions, you can email us at graceandgritbcs@gmail.com. We also have free resources and products on our website. Visit us at graceandgritbcs.com. Thank you so much for listening to the Parenting with Grace and Grit podcast.